Okay, this week you guys are going to be making your own objects, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to delve a little deeper into the Editable Poly Modifier. You guys have voiced a lot of interest in the lamp, street lamp that I used in a demo a couple weeks ago, and you were asking how to create something like that. This is actually a stock model, but I'm going to show you in this lesson how to recreate it using primitives and the Editable Poly Modifier. So we'll start by, let's turn on a grid here. It's distracting. Alright, so we're just going to use this as a template, so I'm just going to kind of move this over to the side. Oops. Let's group this all into one shape. Lamp post, and we're just going to kind of move it over here a little bit. Let's turn on these grids. Okay, so let's start at the bottom. As you can see, the base of this kind of starts with a cylinder. So let us draw one quickly. Okay, and now I'm just going to kind of move that into place. Actually, let's make sure this is there, and I'm going to freeze this. So now we can't move it. So that is pretty close. I'm not going to be going for exact precision, so now let's kind of, we don't need that many polygons there, so let's reduce that. Actually, you know what, let's just go all the way right there. And then just lower that a little bit. So from there, that's the basic piece right there. I'm just going to add that Editable Poly Modifier to it, so I can make some adjustments. And what I'm going to do next, and now that I have this kind of centered and it's about the right size, looks like it's a little off, so let's move it over, scale it a little bit. And oops. Let's get that back here. I'm just going to shorten it just a little bit. Alright, that's better. So I'm going to just take this top piece right there, and I'm just going to bevel it, which I demonstrated last week, so I'm just going to raise it up a little bit. And here I can bend it in a little bit. I'm not going to go for such a smooth curve there, but I mean, it's the same principle. I mean, we could bevel this several times, or use the chamfer to make it add some detail later on. And then from there I can just leave that there because I need to shrink, make a circle on the inside. Let's turn on edge faces so you can see what I'm doing here. So now I'm going to inset a little bit, and I'm going to extrude. So let's extrude it up. Oops, mistake. Now extrude. And I'm going to bring it right up to right about there. And now you see, I could use the bevel modifier here too, because obviously it tapers, but since I didn't, I'm just going to scale it because it'll do the same thing. That's pretty close. Alright, and then we're going to bevel it again because it looks like it kind of curves in a little bit. So put it right there. And then in a little bit. Again, I'm hitting Alt-W to zoom into the specific viewports. Hit extrude. Let's go this way. Just going to bring that up. Here we need to go into a little bit more detail. So let's make sure I have the right, yep, I got the top piece still selected. And so I'm going to bevel it out. And right now I'm just kind of eyeballing it. You can use the different views too. Make sure. Okay, now I'm going to extrude it. Oops, I can't see where I'm going, so let's... Z, again, will zoom into whatever you have selected. So that's fine. Now I'm going to bevel it again. You can see it comes in a little bit right there. Should be good. And then now I'm just going to kind of take a step back and I'm going to go to the side view so I can make sure these pieces are somewhat aligned. You can see I'm a little bit off, which is fine, because I will just grab these polygons. Oops. Right there, and I will scale them out. And you can also change how you select your polygons. If you go to, where is it? Just have to, oh, here we go. Window or crossing. If you click it to, where I had it right now, if you just touch any small part of the polygons, it'll select it. I'm sorry. That is if you touch any polygon, it'll select it. But if you switch it to this mode, you actually have to have them encased in the square for them to highlight, which is usually more accurate. So this way I can just grab that top piece if I needed it. So I'm going to grab these and just kind of move it up so you can kind of... So that's a bit better. I'm just going to take this and select this loop, break it down a little bit. Alright, so let's just keep moving along. So this is going to be interesting because it's got a nice curve there, which I don't want to delve too deep into those curves yet because I'm not quite there. So I'm going to extend it there, and let's switch views here to kind of see how, oops, W, to see how big I want it to be. And again, I probably should have beveled, but since I didn't, I'm just going to scale it. So now you see we need a curve in there. There's a lot of ways we could do that. What I'm going to do is use this selection technique called ring, which again selects kind of everything that's parallel to it. And it's not exactly parallel, but you get what I mean. And then we're going to use the connect function to, let's just add a couple of segments in here. Let's do that for now, right? And then I'm going to select in a loop, which selects kind of like that circle, and I'm just going to scale it in. Do the same thing here, loop, scale it in. And now that I have something kind of approximate, just these around a little bit. Now that I have those, I can actually use Chamfer to kind of add some more. Actually, let's do this all at once. Just going to select these two edges and then just select loops. It'll select those two circles. And now if I just select Chamfer, oops, I can add, let's move this over here, just some curves in there. So that's better. Oops. I'm going to keep them kind of right about there. Now it's arcing these, and I'm not 100% sure why. Yeah, that didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. So let's back up. Make sure your reference coordinate system is set to local. I believe that's where my error was at. Still arcing. Not quite sure why it's not working. So we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. I'm just going to go in, oops, not loop, I want ring, and I'm just going to start adding some more segments in there. Ring, connect, scaling it. So we're starting to see that curve. Right? And then after the fact, I'll just kind of come back here and show you this. Ooh, that's not good. Looks like it really messed that up. You know why? Because I was not scaling it right. When you scale, you got to make sure that you have the right handles selected. So, what I actually did was, see if you grab one of these handles, you see how in this up here it's not scaling everything, it's only scaling it in one direction. So, let's go back to this view and make sure you select this inner triangle. And ring, oops, loop. Now if I go back, it should be, there we go. Looks like there's one other thing that I might have, oh, that's not quite right either, there we go. Looks like some of these are a bit off, but that's why it's important to be, oops, trying to find where that is. Oh, we are on this one, okay. So this one I might have to do manually. But fortunately, I can just do it this way. So I have that. Oops. There we go. So now, if I want to scale that, I gotta make sure and do it consistently. Alright. So again, we need to go back here. And I'm going to, I always pick the wrong one. Let's just ring those, connect, create some subdivisions. Then I'm just going to, oops, do it again. Just kind of adjust some of those. Okay. So let's save this really quick. So now what I was going to show you is that let's turn off edged faces. So I know it looks kind of jagged right now, but one thing we can do later is we can start to, oops, turn soft selection on, turn that off, is if I grab these polygon groups, like say I grab all these ones right here, let's get a better view, do the top one, I can actually go down to here and say auto smooth, and it actually will smooth out those polygons so it looks a bit more, and that's kind of one of the tricks of animation in video games, is that they use these groups in a really good way, so you can't really see those polygon edges. So then I can take that one and smooth it. So you can see that makes a much nicer result. I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but we'll just kind of keep going. So where are we at? All right. So let's just keep extruding, and then it's like a bevel, and then I can just keep bevel on because that next piece goes up. Okay, and that's pretty much the base. Now for the next piece, it's just kind of it's a box really. So we will just go back to the create menu. I'm just going to draw a box here. Where did I put it? Oops, it's way off. Okay, once the box is in there, we can go ahead and make changes to it. So I'm just going to resize it roughly. So I'm just going to move this over here so I can kind of see how big I need it to be. Oops, and I kind of put it at the wrong angle, but it doesn't really matter since we'll be editing it anyways. Okay, so that's pretty close. Okay, so then I'll go ahead and move that top of our base. And I don't need any width or height segments since I'll be kind of modifying this anyways. So, first thing I need to do is add that Editable Poly Modifier. And let's close that. I'm going to go grab that one, and I'm going to shrink it down. Oops. So it fits that base. And again, this isn't the only way to do this. We could do this a number of ways. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select ring, so it selects those edges. I'm going to go to connect. But this time I'm going to move that segment I'm creating down a bit to right about there. Let's turn the edge faces on so you can see what I'm doing. So now that I created that edge, I'm going to resize it so I can have that square bottom piece. Alright, and from there, let's kind of look at the top. And then you can just use bevel for those two pieces. So for that, do it one more time. So now you can see we're getting very, very close. I'm not going to show you how to model the light bulb because it's easy enough to find. So now you can see this has windows on each side, so I'm just going to select those polygons, and I want to inset. Now you can see that it's not quite doing what I want it to because I want to create these little windows. So I'm going to go over to settings, and then instead of group, I'm going to go by polygon. So now when I do that, you can see it's making a nice little window in there for me. Alright? And then it looks like there's like a little edge in there, so I can just hit extrude and go inside a little bit. And then depending if you want this to be glass or not, I could just delete those. So there's that. And then the last piece is right here up top. So that looks like a cylinder, so we'll start with that. And I'm just going to draw it right about there. Oops. I got to keep track of where I'm putting these things. You can see it. Let's do that again. Alright, to create cylinder, oh, there it is, way at the bottom. So move that way up. Let's go into modify so we can make this closer to the right size. Let's just start with that piece right there. However, I'm going to move it over to our lamppost. Okay, so now we have that. So I'm going to go to my Edit Poly Modifier. I'm going to bevel that. Oops. So as you can see, kind of what I try to reiterate in the last lessons is that everything is built off of primitives. I mean, if you start to see primitives in objects, it's going to save you a lot of trouble as you're building these. So let's see, I'm going to kind of run into the same thing here, where I need to create some subdivisions. So I'm just going to do it again. Ring, and I'm just going to put 3 in there. I'm just going to start to modify that a little bit. Oh, and I did the same thing again, so let's back up. You can see how I this one in the center. We want to make sure it scales in all directions. Better. And we're almost there. We just got to take that top piece and bevel it a few times. And that pretty much is it. So, you know, like I said, it's just a matter of practice. That's why I think that discussion a few weeks ago was such a valuable one, is that you just need to start seeing these things. You need to start seeing how you can break down these simple objects, for example, this week on your desktop, how you can break it down into primitives. But now you actually have using primitives and the Edit Poly Modifier is going to take you 90% of the way most of the time. So you're not going to need to learn a whole lot of new techniques to create these objects between using your primitives in a creative manner and the Edit Poly Modifier. You'll be really surprised at what you'll be able to make.